Just want to make my pulley a little bit presentable because I'm just coming off of work, as you can tell from my hands. You see, I'm going to make this video nevertheless because we are living in a time where videos don't get views on YouTube anymore. Sometimes you make very good videos that you have made from your heart, just like this one I'm making right now. And for one funny reason or the other, the YouTube algorithm just thinks that the video is not helping anybody, so they don't give it the distribution that it deserves. Distribution in this case is the impression. They don't show it to as much people that should naturally see those videos. This is the time that we are living in. But nonetheless, like I said, I'm still going to make this video because I do think that this video is going to be helpful to a young man or a young woman out there at some time in the future. You see, ideally, this video is meant to be for, business people. You are starting a business. It's not supposed to be for you if you have not given starting a business a consideration. But nonetheless, watch the video to the very end because you can never tell. Sometime in the future or sometime along the line, you might decide to start a business, which I believe that you should be doing anyway. So, if you are a young man or a young woman, you are struggling right now in business, you must have noticed a pattern. I'm telling you because I've already put in 13 years of, trying to build a business. In case you are meeting me for the first time, I say use computers, use laptops, use phones, everything IT related on eBay. Basically, that's my natural habitat. And then I also sell on my website. But the traffic I get is a lot higher on eBay, being what it is, than on my website because I have not started deploying ads to my website, which is something I still need to come to. But that's not the issue. The issue is this. I have put in 13 years on this thing, trying to make it work. And one thing I have constantly noticed over and over and again, which is what the video is about, is when things want to go wrong, sometimes they go pretty wrong fast and a lot. So you might be wondering now, why is it like that? It took me, many years of just, observing this pattern. Something want to go wrong, it just go wrong pretty fast. And it goes wrong, it drags other things along, and before you know it, you have a table full of a lot of shit shows, and you have to begin to, work your way up again to the top. And this pattern I have noticed over and over and again. And this is exactly like I said, just make this video. It doesn't matter if YouTube gives it views or not. I do not care at this point, but I feel like this is one of the major reasons why a lot of people just give up. Because you want to start a little business. You just saw something that's interesting to you. Perhaps it's just buying and selling. And you are saying to yourself, let me just buy stuff and resell it. And all of a sudden, you just start seeing things going wrong from nowhere. I do not also have the, an explanation of why it happens. But I think that this thing has been so baked into the universe that it kind of, sieves out those that are serious from really succeeding, from those that are just trying to just test and see if it's a money grab that's there or being proposed to them. Because some people think that every business model that comes out, there's always a money grab, component of it, which is you do not have to do anything. You just have to sit down, and before you know it, you start counting money. And because of that, some people just come in carelessly to just see, okay, where's the money grab? What's the money grab? If there's no money to be grabbed, boom, they run away from that business. But sometimes I feel like the universe has just baked this process in, which is if you have said to yourself, I want to do this thing and succeed in it, there's going to come a time where you're going to be balling things. Don't get me wrong. It's not all going to be, a shit show. There's going to be a time where things just be working. Before you even touch something, it's going to just explode and yield results. But other times, something want to go wrong. It just go wrong pretty quick. Your car goes broken, and before you know it, the platform that you are selling on suddenly just develops a problem. Sales are not coming through. Before you know it, the customer that you sold items to many months ago is calling you. I want to return it. Before you know it, in your post box are hundreds of letters. This one asking for money. This one asking to debit your account. This one telling you something is due. Before you know it, you are just tied up in a kind of a tight situation that might be very, very chaotic and stressful. And before you know it, things from nowhere, perhaps the mechanic calls you and said, this car that was just working yesterday, something's broken, you have to spend like 2,000 euro fixing it. And then you are struggling to raise money for that. Maybe your computer suddenly breaks. And then you will be thrown off balance if you are not careful. This has happened over and over and over again for me to be able to say, look, this is kind of a pattern. And sometimes, I'm coming to the good part, it's not a bad thing in disguise, because sometimes you might think that it's a bad thing in disguise. You see, if you are able to weather all these storms, it's just like you are standing now, so many storms are hitting you from left, right, and center, and then you are able to stand and withstand this storm. Guys, I'm telling you, it unlocks a new level of everything for you, new level of performance, new level of doggedness, a new level of motivation, a new level of success, everything. It's kind of a test, just like you go to school. You know, I forgot, the last time I was in the classroom was so many years ago, all right? But, you know, after some weeks, like after 5 weeks of lectures or after 4 weeks of lectures, you get a test. The teacher or the lecturer wants to test you to see if you are kind of ripe enough for the next phase or the next module, all right? So you are called up, you are given a test, and if some people fail, some people pass. This is exactly how it works. And when you pass the test, most times you get into a new module, a new topic. If it's mathematics, if it's biology, you get to a new topic, and then you just keep going on and on and on. So in business, it also looks like that. But in this case, the only difference is that something somewhere, some invisible hand just gives you this test, and it's your duty to actually pass that test. Yes, and some people fail this test all too often, because they do not know what's going on. Why is it that suddenly everything is just going wrong? Your landlord calls you and tells you, sorry, I want to use this apartment, or I want to make use of this property. And the house that you are staying in the same week, the landlord calls you and says, look, I think I want to increase the rent. And if you're not careful, something breaks from the other side. And before you know it, you already have 5 or 6 shit shows to deal with on your table. Different situations, all intended to test you. And once again, a lot of people, all too often, they fail this test. And they'll be wondering, what's going on? Why is it everything I just want to do, even I want to do a little thing, everything just starts breaking down? It is part of the process. I'm not here to tell you about the Alex Hormozi kind of business stuff. These are for advanced people. I'm just a young man, young woman, you're trying to start something little. You have maybe 500 euros or $500 in your hand as your capital. You're just trying to bust out and start the business. This is exactly the patterns that you're going to be noticing. But then, like I said, it's not all tales of woes. If you can solve these problems, because sometimes when it happens like this, something I do is just to breathe, take a deep breath, sit down and tell yourself, this is a test, I'm going to go through it. If it's a money test, sit down, have a clear head, because if you do not handle it properly, you might go into panic mode, and before you know it, you start borrowing money using your credit card, and that is just the beginning of another story, another long story. But if you sit down, have a clear head, and think, what are the next things I can do to weather this storm? Most times, these storms are very, very short. They do not last forever. Sometimes they last for months, years, it should be said. But most times, they are just a temporary traffic. I developed a name. I call them temporary traffics. Last 2 weeks, my car was broken. Before I knew what was wrong, I stopped coming to the warehouse. Before I knew what was going on, boom, sales just suddenly stopped. Before I knew what was going on, money kind of drying off, and invoices after invoices coming, hitting my account. And when your account is being hit and you do not have things flowing in, it could be a major challenge. And guys, I'm telling you, I have been through this situation so many times before, and I felt like this is something that might throw a lot of newbies off balance. Not even newbies, people that have been in business for so long, and they just get stressed, and before you know it, boom, they give up. And you hear that business that started just right at the corner is no more because of life challenges, struggles, pain, problem, tests. They all suddenly came at the same time, and most time They are not able to recover. See, in the midst of all this, I'm telling you guys about my car that was just broken, the sales stopping. In the midst of all this, I woke up and I realized that 4 of my YouTube channel has been deactivated from nowhere. And then, of course, I wrote to YouTube, I appealed, and the next morning, everything kind of came back. It is what it is. I'm telling you, how is it that this thing just happened in the same time? I'm telling you, this is the test that sometimes I don't know, the universe will throw at you just to see how. And when my YouTube channels were deactivated, I didn't panic one bit because I've been here too long. I kind of realized that, I mean, it's not the end of the road with YouTube. YouTube is just one source of income. And if it's proving too difficult to overcome, let it go. And this is the mindset I have for it right now. And I understand that this was just a test. So when it happened, 4 of my channels were deactivated. I was as peaceful as I can be. Because in any case, I've been making videos here for more than 2 years, not getting nowhere, no traction, no distribution, no impression, no views. So when the 4 channels were deactivated, I just kept my cool. And if the universe was trying to give me a test to see how I would react to that kind of stuff, I have already passed it. And sometimes you also have these kind of challenges with money, with the platform on which you sell, with your business, with your housing, with your rent, with your car, with so many other things, with your relationships. So I felt like this is a video I needed to share with you guys. Getting views or not, I do not care. But if this video has helped you, you know what we'll do on this channel? We'll go ahead and click on the like button. We consider subscribing to the channel because this is the only way you can support the growth of this channel. And until I see you again in the next video, peace out.